from our right side, from Summer.
We will discuss about the one country and the two system case. So the first question when we come into mind is actually discussing about China and Hong Kong, is it having the business symbiosis? So we agree with this statement. It because we feel that we believe that China and Hong Kong is actually having the mutual beneficial relationship to each other in business. So as we know that China is actually the China's economy is the seventh largest in the world ranking and also the second largest in Asia Pacific ranking. But compared to Hong Kong economy is estimated 6 times smaller than China's economy. Although we can see it has a great difference between China's and Hong Kong economy, but we believe that their business is actually depends on each other. When their relationship is actually started since the year of 1997. Whenever China's out of export quota for products, then they will go, the Hong Kong traders will use Hong Kong export quota for re-export activities. And also most of the China's economic growth and also modernization is actually based on Hong Kong's foreign direct investment. My teammates, do you guys know that there is other facts also actually support this statement?
So what are the other factors there?
It's actually, the first one is we can see that Hong Kong is actually the second largest trading partner for China, and also it is also the main export market for China. Then the third fact is it is also the largest source of realized FDI for China. In another way, China is also the largest supplier in goods for Hong Kong, the important location of outward processing activities, and also the second largest source of inward direct investment for Hong Kong. It are the facts that prove Hong Kong and China is actually having the business symbiosis in business. Let's go to the next question.
Okay, the next question, I will explain more about what is the main determinants of FDI in China compared to Hong Kong. Theoretically, FDI can be classified into two types, which is market-oriented and export-oriented. In terms of market-oriented, the main factor that actually influence FDI is the size and growth of the market. Meanwhile, the export-oriented FDI mainly looks for cost competitiveness. There are also some factors in common for both types of FDI that is thought to have all these characteristics. Let's go to the first main determinants of FDI, which is the cheaper labor cost. China, as the world's largest population, as mentioned by Summer, has rich resources of labor, with average salaries of workers remaining low level, thus make this as an advantage to maintain cheap labor costs. Since China paid a lot of attention to its education, China laborers are amazingly skilled and high quality. Another determinant of FDI that we can found is R&D activities. There is pull and push factors that determine the foreign companies to invest in China R&D research sector. The pull factors include the availability of extensive hard and soft R&D activities in the country. Government policies for the reform of the R&D encourage Chinese R&D institutions to become more proactive and to seek partnership with the NCs. High and new technology used for R&D and the size and growth of consumers market. By referring to this main point, which is high and new technology used for R&D, one of the important variable is telecommunication service. high technology used to communicate will save time and reduce the cost of communication and information gathering. Thus, this facilitates business activities. Furthermore, nowadays, the development of high-tech industry has been a top priority in China. The current level of technology in China provinces its function in order to attract FDI. Moreover, market-oriented FDI aim to set up enterprises to supply goods and services to the local markets. Thus, the country has to enlarge the size and growth of consumer market. This is because large economies can provide large economies of scale. China has population of 1.2 billion, which shows a great potential for consumption. China's economy has been expanding increasingly with the purchasing power of the people strengthening rapidly and market becoming increasingly brisk. This has made China attractive to FDI. Next, we go to the next question.
Alright, the question is that according to UNCTAD, as you know as UNTAC, the numbers of regional headquarters of foreign firms in Hong Kong has dropped from 903 in 1997 to 818 in 1998, to rise again to 855 in 2000. How would me explain these changes? Well, I will explain it as the number that has been decreasing and increasing is because, like many Asian countries, Hong Kong has faced an Asian economies. The Hong Kong economy suffers from financial crisis in the late 1990s. However, unlike most of them, it was able to cope with the crisis with tolerable losses and began to recover in 1999. Each large service sectors has been given credit for the economic ability to recover. As just now Summer has mentioned, that Hong Kong has played an important role in like exporting stuff for China, managing quota, stuff like that. So we can see that Hong Kong use this as their advantages. They prove it, and this eventually help them to cope with financial crisis. And as just now we mentioned that China has a lot of R&D resources. As question number 2 has answered, R&D resources, labor cost has been cheap and professional. This shows that the products that come from China is definitely good quality for enough for Hong Kong to export. These sectors has been the reason for a constant balance of payment surplus in 1997. Lots of foreign firms scared that this crisis will tackle Hong Kong hard, making the numbers of regional headquarters of foreign firms in Hong Kong drop. Thus, the foreign firms headquarters in Hong Kong will drop because of this. Unlike the other Asian countries, Hong Kong external debt has remained small in comparison to its available finance. The crisis slowed down the economy temporarily. However, it did not lead to widespread closure of industry and companies or massive unemployment as experienced in Indonesia or Malaysia, for instance. The economies began to recover in 1999 and 2000, where the GDP growth rate jumped to 3% and 9.7% respectively. Additionally, its unemployment rate reached the record high of 6.2% in 1999. Thus, the number of regional headquarters of foreign firms in Hong Kong rise again to 855 in 2000. I would like to pass the next question to Kenneth.
Okay, so for now, the Deputy Head of Economic Research at JP Morgan in Hong Kong stated a statement which is, what you have in China is a rosy macro but a lousy micro. From this statement, we can know that actually the China's economic is rather good. However, in terms of the particular corporate performance itself, not all of them is good. So it means that for an investor, if I am an investor, I would rather be safe to invest in the overall market of China instead of buying a certain stocks from a certain company and invest from that, because this is very risky, because since China is so big, I mean, one of the world largest population in the world, which make them have, I mean, most of the in sector itself, there are many competitors itself. So not every businessman did well, which is only a certain companies who capture the whole market of the whole world. And then it means that if I would want to invest in the overall market, China seems to have a growing state, which is much safer. This is due to the competitors among them. High purchasing rate, but most of them would purchase in certain company only, which lead the other company to have probably making losses and so on. So at the same time, China is one of the members of World Trade Organization. So it means that not only China itself has the competitors. In fact, the whole world has, a lot of competitors as well. So it means that it would make them harder to survive. And of course, export to other countries, maybe only, other countries would only buy a certain company's product. So it means it's hard for others, smaller companies to survive. Yeah. So I'll pass the next question.
Talking about FDI and portfolio investment in China and Hong Kong, reform of investment you think is more volatile? Okay, in my opinion, I would like to explain instead of FDI, portfolio investment is more volatile. The volatility of the portfolio investment can make the economic problem worsen during the uncertain times. Portfolio investment is less stable compared to FDI because FDI is relatively stable in China and represent long-term commitment of foreign investors. An unexpected situation in portfolio investment will cause increase or decrease of return, whereas it is easily being sell off or pull out the investment. China put less effort in the portfolio investment compared to the other developing countries, as the volatility of China's stock market has proved that the liquidity of the stock and bond market is one of the very sensitive factor will affect a lot of portfolio investment. The risk of portfolio investment in China also higher than FDI because the Asian financial crisis has happened in 1998 shows a negative trend of portfolio investment in China. After the year, China's stock market is in for many more bad days and there is cause for conscience, not cause for panic. During the positive economic condition in China and Hong Kong, portfolio investment will show a positive effect. Meanwhile, portfolio investment will be dropped significant when the downturn of economic happen. The availability of finance in portfolio investment are unpredictable and turn hard for the analysts to make a forecast for the future investment planning. While foreign direct investment is less volatile because FDI can take a direct and controlling state. FDI investment has a long-term invest with involved non-financial asset, for instance, equipment, building, real estate, technology, and intellectual capital. FDI in Hong Kong and China help us to push up their GDP and double the agricultural production of China. In conclusion, Foreign investment is more volatile compared to foreign direct investment in China and Hong Kong. We proceed to the last question.
Okay, for the question number 6, where would you prefer investing, in China or in Hong Kong? So if I were the investor, I would prefer to invest in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is much developed compared to China. Even China stock market are also the world best performing, but for the international investor, buying stock in China can be a frustrating game. Deputy Head of Economic Research at JP Morgan in Hong Kong said that investors should invest in China from the macro economic perspective, but when it comes down to choosing specific stock to buy, it's not easy. This is because Hong Kong has proved that Hong Kong is more reliable than the mainland as a source of equity financing. In year 2012, Chinese companies have raised 43 billion in initial public offering in the Hong Kong versus just 25 billion in the mainland exchange, according to Dialogic. More than anywhere else in the world, Hong Kong has also provided these Chinese companies with access to global capital market for bond and loan financing. What is more, Hong Kong is the key hub for investment in and out of China, and it accounted for 2/3 of foreign direct investment into China last year in year 2005. So besides that, why I would prefer to invest in Hong Kong that is because Hong Kong FDI inflow has increased positively from year 1995 to year 2000 from 1.9% to 5%. So this recent upsurge happened because of few explanations, which is the first one is the impact of recovery from the economic turmoil of 1997 until 1998. The investment of transnational cooperation in Hong Kong is the increase reflect a major cross-border merger and acquisition in telecommunication, for example, China Mobile in Hong Kong. And the element of China of increased transit FDI in and out of Hong Kong. So other than that, Hong Kong other than that, Hong Kong is better than China because some investor detect that the potential of unaware by the complexities by the firm in doing business in China is high. Many foreign investors has made losses in China in 4 to 5 years. For example, like Foster's beer company. Other than that, foreign companies use Hong Kong as their staging post for investing in China, as it offers them something that no mainland city offer. For example, like a stable investment environment protected by fair and transparent code that enforce a long-established rule of law. Then, in fact, even the Chinese government also made the Hong Kong as a testing ground for a range of financial reform. That is made the yuan path toward acceptance as a global currency began in Hong Kong in year 2009 with an experiment in trade and a soon-to-be launched program that will for the first time allow of any foreign investor to buy China-listed share will be conducted via the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So that is why, if I were the investor, I would prefer Hong Kong than China. Okay, that's all.